Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a mini episode of Court of Thoughts for you going out over Christmas break.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, it's just going to be a segment of just kind of three of us having a nice little chit-chat, sitting down as nice fellas. We were originally going to have Kara joining us.
She's gone.
But she's helping out with something for other people. So
Uneducated people.
For some Christmas spirit.
Jay, uneducated people is a terrible way to phrase
Us?
children.
Oh, I was talking about us.
Oh, us being uneducated?
Or at least we don't have the slip of paper saying I'm certified. But
That is true.
Right.
However,
I'm
soon
pretty educated.
well,
we
we definitely
will be
are
dumb.
dumb. So.
A lot of people are dumb. I don't know if I would include all of us in part of that.
No.
Part of that, but
Good job.
that's not what we're talking about, Jay.
Well, right, but it is kind of.
All right, whatever.
No, I won't get into that.
All right,
Unless
all right.
I'm insulting you or something.
Back on topic.
Brody, let's ask Jay. Jay, what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about religion and how. Well, let me phrase this correctly.
Oh,
Phrase
boy.
it
All right.
confusingly either.
Or also how religion. So why do we have certain presuppositions about people when we find out they are associated with X religion?
How people treat us when
Presuppositions as your terrible
I'm gonna ask-
definitions,
Yeah.
but
So, like-
suppositions.
I'm gonna ask a maybe dumb question real quick. What is a preposition? Or whatever you
So
say.
basically, all right. So
It's
Jay
it's
put
your
it out.
thought
Yeah.
before
Oh.
like your thought about something, like a presupposition.
Yeah.
A thought before
Yep.
something.
So basically, you meet someone and like they're like
And
a
then you
religion or
judge them
whatever,
right away.
and then
That's a
you
terrible
have
definition, but-
a base like opinion kind of based on you know nothing about them, but you know they're part of X religion. That's going to kind of inform what you think about them when you first meet them.
No. So if you meet a Jew, you're going
Jew?
to immediately talk about the Holocaust.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's a terrible idea, and you should never do that.
Yeah, probably not. Probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
Although, yeah,
It's
coming up
again. Yeah.
Coming up again?
yeah. Well, Hamas and all that Israel stuff. I don't really keep up on it all that much,
Hmm.
but
It's
so
current events.
Brody,
Yeah.
I'm a new person to you,
Okay.
and I'm coming to you
Okay.
real fast,
Oh.
or maybe medium.
I'm gonna
I'm
start.
approaching you,
I'm gonna.
and I'm a Jew.
Okay.
No,
Do I know this?
I'm a Catholic,
Do I-
and I've got a
I'm gonna-
Catholic thing on my chest.
I'm gonna be concerned that you're coming to touch me. I'm gonna put you on the ground.
Okay, Brody, that's just a little far.
Okay, but for real, someone's approaching you as a Catholic. Oh, well, hold up.
Okay.
No, do I want to diss him?
Two.
Not you.
Do you know someone who's Catholic?
Let's try not to insult anyone here, but
I think we already have. Keep
Mrs. Felposh's husband, Mike, approaches you,
Okay.
Going. He's
and you've
I've
heard,
met him, actually.
you've heard from Mrs. Felposh that he is a Catholic. What is your immediate presupposition about this man? How are you going to treat him in accordance to his religion?
Well, I'm just gonna be like, hey, how's it going? You been to church recently? Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. What about Jesus did you learn? But that's my first mistake. I meant to say God.
Why?
Wait, well, God.
Why is that more? I'm sorry,
I don't remember. Do you guys not
What?
believe in the resurrection of Jesus or something like that?
Brody. I don't know how to tell you this, but Catholicism is Christianity.
Yes.
I've told this has been explained to you many
It's
times.
not Christianity. It's
Yes,
not.
it is.
Not.
Do I have to explain this yet again? That
No, you've already
Catholicism
explained
is
it.
Christianity.
It's not really Christianity.
It's not like.
How? It is a
How?
denomination of Christianity.
Yeah,
But it's,
yeah,
but
you're
it's
correct
like-
on that, but it's not like
also separated at the same time.
the practices within it is different.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not really
The
concerned.
practices don't make the religion. The beliefs make the religion.
Yes, but beliefs and practices, you're acting out something, you're drinking holy water or whatever they do.
It's not holy water.
That's
We
a
don't
practice.
drink
That's a
that.
practice.
Jay,
you're
we don't-
you're acting something out
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you believe something.
I mean,
It's belief.
in part, yeah.
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 So it's different beliefs.
That doesn't make it not Christianity, though.
Are you talking about like technically it's called Christianity? It's under the Christianity bubble.
It's not even technically, it just straight up is a
It's
part
just-
of Christianity.
Okay, hold on.
Is like,
Catholicism is a denomination of Christianity.
so what's the difference between someone who goes to church like Brody and your parents?
And my parents, or me.
What's the difference?
Well,
Is that the same thing?
no, because it's different denominations.
Okay.
And different denominations have different
Right.
sets of ways that they practice their worship.
Right.
Right.
But that doesn't make Catholicism not Christianity.
Okay, I
But
see
tell
what you're
us.
saying. I just, yeah.
Because,
Okay.
like, following your logic to the extreme, I guess,
Okay.
would be to say that Christianity is one specific denomination. Say, like, Baptists are the only Christians, and no one else is. By that logic.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just think it's a poor definition to put Christianity into Catholic people or Catholic.
Well, because Catholics are Christians, right? They are a Christian denomination.
Don't they have like some sort of like different belief system? Didn't they add like different parts of the Bible into the Bible?
So, those are called the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
Those are history books which are in the Bible that were added before the Protestant Reformation by what would be, I guess I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I do, like an enlightened council of like religious leaders in Christianity, because there wasn't any separation of the church at the time, because this was in like 400 AD, like the 5th century. They decided that it would be best to add those books to the Bible
Why?
because they are history books and the context of those histories are important to the Bible.
What do those histories say? What are those histories about?
I have not read them.
You haven't.
I
Okay,
cannot
so-
answer that question because I am not a
I do
theologian.
like what you're saying. It's like a denomination of Christianity or whatever. I just feel like it's a poor definition, but that's just me.
Well, by your definition you're giving, there is no real Christianity in every denomination.
Right,
It's
but
just a
like
different religion.
I guess I'm talking about people's like thoughts, what they would hear about when you hear Christianity and Catholicism. Most people wouldn't be like, that's the same thing.
No.
It's not. I mean, it is.
Well,
It's
it
a
is.
denomination. There's it's basic,
just that-
same beliefs.
Catholicism, because it is the, I could be wrong on this, I believe the largest single denomination of Christianity. It gets separated as its own type of thing. You can fact check that. So Catholicism gets separated as its own thing because people have a lot of like misunderstandings and miss a lot of knowledge about it.
Well-
So they think that it's so much different from the rest of Christianity when it really isn't.
Aren't there different beliefs?
They believe in the resurrection of Christ,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
which and all that meta truths inside that.
Yeah, and all of the same things.
But yeah, so like, yeah, the definition's the same, but for me, I'm just talking about people's interpretations when they hear Christianity and Catholicism. What would you call? Oh man. Yeah, I don't know.
Call what?
Okay. Oh. Mm. Brody, what's the kind of church that you go to?
I go to Hastings Church of the Nazarene.
So it's like a Nazareth church.
Nazarene Church. They're they do some. There's some Catholic things we do. We do Advent and we do Lent.
Those aren't Catholic specific, that's just a Christian idea.
Right. But
It's just that Catholics have other practices which are associated with those Advent, with the Advent candles, and then the Lent with Lent and giving up things for that with like fasting and such.
yeah.
Which are things that were obviously I could be wrong on a lot of this because Vatican II was a thing that happened since the Protestant Reformation, so a lot of things have changed, but from what I am aware, those are things which were in place before the Reformation. Right? So if you really look at it, a lot of those things are things that were removed by Protestants. Same thing with the Apocrypha.
Mhm.
Which we this got discussed in English.
This morning?
No, not today.
Oh.
But this got discussed in English at some point in the past, where Mr. Brinkman was incredibly confused as to why that history is like important, and like why context is important to like the Bible, right? Because that's what the history books are there for.
Wait, so he thought history wasn't? Or
Well,
that he was confused that it was important?
So he was confused that as to why it's there because he did not think that those were relevant to the Bible, and he was
Give
questioning.
me an example.
So, like,
I'm
He-
terrible at examples.
I know. Like, he was trying to say that those being there changes nothing but what the Bible is. So then, because that changes nothing but what the Bible is, why are they in the Bible?
Okay.
When you really look at it, context can help people interpret the Bible. Because, there's so many different versions of the Bibles, and they're all different interpretations, and everyone has different interpretations of even the same type of the Bible, or release of the Bible, whatever you want to call them. But then those books add context to help bring it together so that there aren't so many staggering interpretations, right?
I heard that some of those books say things like, so the Bible says not to do a certain thing, and then I heard from someone, I don't know if it's true or not, that those books say you can do it, you just have to do it in this certain way for it to be right.
Well, the Bible does that with a lot of things, right? Because there's a lot of things that are in, like, the Old Testament, what have you, that then Jesus in the New Testament says you can do in a certain way, right?
Yeah, as long.
Because the Bible, for example, will
You have to
still...
give a certain example. So
That's
I can
what I was
understand
about to
this
do,
better.
Brody.
Okay.
So, like, say the Bible, like, I don't want to say damns people, but it, like, condemns the idea of, like, anger and, like, unrightfully casting people out.
Condemns them?
I'm not sure if that's the best word, but, like,
Well,
the idea
or
of,
maybe that you shouldn't do that.
like,
like, you
it's
should
saying that you
practice
should
to
not be have anger towards people,
Practice
right?
that not to be your first reaction to
Yeah.
something that would make you angry.
Yeah, so it's saying that, like the Bible, it says, whatever, not to be angry at people, right? But then if you look at it, Jesus, he flipped tables and stuff. But what it is that that's a different kind of anger.
It was it.
That's a righteous anger. Like, he has reason for it.
Right. He's not hating the people for what they did. He's just angry that instead of going to the church, the temple to worship, they're using it to sell God's sacrifices instead of using them the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I look at, like, Jesus, I see it as less of, like, well, what did he do right and wrong or whatever. I look at it as he's a representation of the best person that could live. He's sinless, he's truth, he's this. So whatever he does, you might want to figure out why he does that and why that would be the correct act. Because
That
what
makes
he's
sense.
doing is correct, no matter what. Even if on face value it looks bad, usually if you look in, well, almost every time it's quite complicated to psychologically break down the Bible, but you look at Jesus' actions and there's always a reason why he did something. Even at face value, you go like, why would he do that? This is stupid. Like, and especially for modern people, it doesn't seems abnormal to us.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say to that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, no, you're fine. We definitely got off topic.
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely did kind of get off topic into discussing that whole...
Oh, if I do that, I'm gonna get more off topic.
Oh, no.
Oh boy, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay, so
All right. Okay.
you asked me what it looks like at my church, and I said we do a couple Catholic things, and we went down that whole trail. So
I feel like...
let me bring it back up for a second and finish explaining.
I feel like what you're saying in terms of the like Lent and
Yeah,
Advent,
I
those
know.
aren't like Catholic specific things. It's just
Yeah, I can-
that's a
I
Christian
can see
idea
what
that
you
some churches just
mean.
don't do. Right? So that doesn't make it Catholic specific. Like, yes,
What's a Catholic practice that you guys do?
a Catholic practice that no other denomination of Christianity has,
Not necessarily. Just a
like
practice.
something that is like Catholic. Well, I mean, the Eucharist is considered a Catholic thing, but
Eucharist.
um,
Is that
like the body and blood of Christ, taking it.
Yeah. So what they like? What do they do? Exactly.
So what happens with that is the priest does. I'm going to do a terrible job at explaining
You're
this.
good.
I will say.
It's fine.
So I apologize to you two and to our viewers at home that this is not a good explanation. So I
But
suggest you
to
do your own research
Any
and look into it
strong
more.
Catholics who might get offended, we are sorry.
I'm sorry, Dad and Mom.
Oh no!
Yeah. So what happens is, you know how at Catholic churches there's like a little table kind of looking thing up
No,
at the
Never
front.
been to one.
You've never seen a picture of a Catholic? Okay.
No, I have one in my church.
Yeah. So that's
Used to.
well, yeah. Most churches have that.
Does it usually have like a writing on the front of it?
Some of them do, some of them don't. But like,
There's a table at the front.
so like, there's basically just like a
Yeah.
table at the front, and that's called the altar.
Oh yeah,
Because-
well every church I go to has had an altar. That's
Yeah.
just a church thing.
So
Yeah.
then what is going on in the whole rites of like the Eucharist and stuff, and that through that is what happens is the priests throughout it does various prayers and things, and that causes something that is called transubstantiation to happen.
What does
Which
that mean? What's
transubstantiation is when the wine and bread become the
Oh, okay.
body and blood of
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh, so even
Right, so it literally
So it's like a translation.
becomes those two things, right? And then what happens is then you consume them and you have I don't want to say become one with Christ because that sounds not right, but it is sort of kind of like that.
we just call that communion at my
Sort of.
church.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
called communion.
yes,
Yeah.
But Catholics, this isn't like uniquely Catholic, but it is something that a lot of people consider to be mostly a Catholic thing, is that they believe that is actually the body and blood physically of Christ, not a representation or
Like
it
objectively.
means this. It straight up is.
Objectively is.
Yes. And if you look at it, there are a lot of various like miracles and things that have happened where the bread or the wine have physically become like flesh and blood.
When?
But okay, so when you watched
there's a
it,
lot.
did you watch like what do you use? Crackers and grape juice most likely, or
No,
do you use
so-
real wine?
So it's actual wine. It is,
right,
it is
right.
real
So,
wine.
so when you did that and that transformation happened, did you see the cracker turn into flesh?
I have not been in any of these. They're called Eucharistic miracles because it doesn't happen every time, right? But there have been times where it has been shown that it becomes that.
In your church even? Or just like
And there's a lot of examples. There's an entire exhibit that has been going around the world about it. It was actually in my church quite recently, strangely enough. And it has, like a documentation of most of them. And a lot of them have had specific examples where they've taken the like hosts that became flesh and the blood and sent them off to like scientists. They weren't like told at all what they were or whatever. And it's come back that every time the samples of blood have been, I believe it is blood type AB,
So
which
the wine,
is a universal blood type.
right. So the wine turned into AB.
AB blood, and the like tissue that the flesh is,
The cracker.
I believe. Well, it's not a cracker. I believe it's a wafer specifically.
A wafer.
But those are basically the same thing. I will say those are very similar.
A piece of food.
Yeah.
something.
Is
flour.
if I remember correctly, a specific type of tissue from inside of the heart that is not normally like accessible with like ease.
Okay, so you've never seen it?
I personally have
Have
not.
your parents ever seen it?
No.
Has anyone in your church ever seen it?
My church personally, no.
Okay.
Has it been? Are there pictures of it that exist? Yes,
Look it up.
I would assume.
I want to see this.
Serious. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not like dead wrong. Like,
Yeah.
We're just
But
we're
like I have
confused.
speculation about that.
Yeah. Here's one, for example. where with this one, I don't remember exactly where this one was, somewhere, but these the hosts were dropped on the ground, and whoever it was that like dropped them or had them took them and put them in a bowl of holy water and then covered them and put them in the tabernacle, which I don't know if you guys have seen the Catholic inside of the Catholic Church. At the front, behind the altar, or at the very back, there's usually like a box-looking thing that's like inset into the wall a little bit. That's called the tabernacle. Any hosts that have been blessed through transubstantiation to become like body of Christ are put in there afterwards, rather than going somewhere else. But then these were like put in holy water and covered, and then it ended up started like the actual bread. Well, I guess it would be the flesh started bleeding.
So do you believe
Obviously-
that that's true? You personally?
I have no comment.
So you don't?
That's a perfect
I have
circle
no
piece of
Well, it's
flesh.
either you believe it or you don't.
Because the wafer itself.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
kind of
simple.
taking an atheist argument here. Like, a lot of them say, like, there's absolutely no evidence that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Like, that miracle didn't happen or whatever. And technically, they're correct. There's no solid,
It is-
irrefutable evidence. that
There
that
is
did.
there is no physical other than I guess a rock moving, which is something that could have been,
Yeah, so we know that
manipulated,
he was a
but-
person, and he died the way that the Bible described it.
we have
And
evidence of the cross.
He
right?
died,
Yeah,
and he was alive again. Yeah.
it is very interesting to
Oh.
discuss these things. It's really weird how randomly we just get on this discussion of Catholicism and Christianity and what's the difference.
Well, you're a Catholic, so I like poking at you.
Well, I mean that's fair, but
No.
like
Like, I don't have any problem with this meat, the cracker turning into meat or whatever, but it's like,
cracker
the
turn.
thing is, it's like,
Wow.
what's the significance of it if there's no objective truth or objective proof that it happened?
What do you mean by that?
You can't prove that it happened. Or at least, it doesn't
I
seem
mean,
to
you
be.
can prove that it's the same blood type every time, right? Because it always comes back as AB, which is a universal blood type, and it's a specific blood type. It always comes back as the same type.
So, okay, but I like I said before, do you think that actually turned into blood?
I don't know.
Okay.
I cannot make a comment on that. I am
Well, you
not.
just did.
I
You
am
said
not
I
a
don't know.
theologian, so
Right.
I'm also not a scientist. So
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, none of us are.
none of us are scientists. That is part of the thing here.
I thought you said the wine turned into blood.
Yeah, but with this one, the host started bleeding. Like the host itself started to bleed. So like you get a prick on your skin and it starts bleeding. That's what was happening.
I don't have an answer for this, but so none of the people at your church has seen this happen,
No,
and they
it doesn't
they
happen.
still
It's
practice,
very rare
but they still practice it.
that the body and blood, the bread and wine change into body and blood of Christ.
They practice that act. They do
Yes.
the communion or whatever.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't have
something.
an answer for this, but it's just like, why do we do that?
I don't have an answer for that either. Again,
I know.
I'm not a
I know.
theologian.
I'm not saying
but-
there is an answer. It's just trying to get down to it a little bit. Laying it out.
Yeah.
So no one's seen the proof of this. They believe
Like-
it or not.
Period, or like that I know.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there is proof of it, but like me, you, Brody, and everyone in your entire church practices this practice ritualously.
Religiously?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, every week
Religiously.
at Mass.
And yet no one's seen proof of it. It's just it's weird to me that
Well,
people
I
do
mean,
that.
why do people
We
believe...
do like that stuff all the time. We
I mean,
add stuff out that we
yeah,
don't even.
like,
we've
why do
never
people
seen
believe
or-
the Earth is flat or round? We haven't technically had proof that it is either way.
Well, I'm
But yeah,
talking
people
like
believe it's
meta
one way.
truths, too. Those are fascinating. Like you treat a gun as if it's not, or as if it's loaded every time.
Yeah. Oh,
But
well,
if you
unless
went-
you're not smart. But, yes.
I got this off of a video. It's a fascinating idea, but if you had someone that bet, like, I'll bet you $2,000 that the gun is not loaded.
Would you take it?
Would you bet that it is loaded? You
It
wouldn't.
depends.
It is not loaded. You know it's not loaded.
Oh,
But
if
you
you know
treat
it's
it
not
as,
loaded, yeah.
as if it's loaded.
Yeah.
So it's things that are not true, but they're meta truths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm personally interested in why we act out things. It's weird to me.
Yeah.
Because it gets down to the truth of it instead of like, should we have communion or not? It's like, well, why are we doing it in the first place? Like, why? Because no one has any proof of it, whether you believe it or not, where you go to this building and you're doing this every day. And maybe someone has an answer to that.
A priest would have an answer for that. I think.
Probably. Yeah. I'd be interested to hear the answer.
Yeah.
I have an answer from
I'm not
Christian's point of
disputing it,
view.
but
Yes.
Why we do communion as just normal, everyday,
Non-Catholic Christians.
non-Catholic Christians, yeah. Our communion is that at the last dinner, the wine was a representative, an example of his. The wine, an example of his blood, spilled for us, because we couldn't spill it for ourselves. He died for us, his body being beaten for us. But why we take communion is that's a reminder for us every Sunday.
right. Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is still why? Like, I get that, but what does that mean for you?
That is the why. It's the reminder. There's no like.
That's a reminder.
It's just a reminder. It's just to keep us, to let us know that He was there and He died for our sins. There is probably a psychological why, but I'm not smart enough or have the brain power to explain it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It is currently past time when this class is over, so I think we are past out of time. So I think that's all we've got for this mini episode of Portable Thoughts. We will be back when the winter break is over, and we will have a amazing episode for all of you.
Hopefully it snows.
A big
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah. Especially
Yeah.
on the road.
Ooh, I don't know about
Slide.
that one.
Yeah.
But
My truck loves fish tank.
always, yeah. So we will see you later.
Adios.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Don't die in the snow.
Oh, man.